Hello, everybody. My name is Caroline Siavichay, and welcome to Heal, Harm, Protect. Now, I'm sure the first thing you're wondering is why heal, harm, protect? So the exhibit that I'm going to walk you through today is all about Irish folk customs and folk magic. And these are the three core basic tenets of all Irish folk customs: to heal, to harm, and to protect. And in my time living in Ireland, it was always just so amazing how strongly these themes are still woven all throughout the home life in this culture that is a really cool mix of ancient and modern blended together. And the thesis we'll be discussing is all about using museums to improve social well-being, to encourage pro-social behavior, and to really foster that community connection by not only creating this space that gives a sense of ownership and accessibility to the local community members, but it also is going to engage all of our visitors in this shared, immersive cultural experience that really just inspires empathy in them and brings the subject to life in a really unforgettable way. Both our client and our venue is going to be the National Museum of Ireland Country Life. It's located in the west of Ireland on these big, beautiful historic grounds. And this is also where they house the National Folklife Collection, which is going to be featured really heavily throughout the exhibit. We're going to be there for one full year from February through to January. Here we get a look at those big, beautiful grounds, as well as our gallery plans. And we're going to be here on levels C and D. Those are the two bottom levels of the galleries. Our audience is mostly going to be families and school groups with some professional hobbyists and explorers. It's basically people who are looking for a very specific cultural experience. And so what we want to do with this exhibition is not only expand and increase that audience, but we want to modernize the approach of the museum a little bit. We want to create those connections, encourage that pro-social behavior. And of course, we want to give people a chance to not only learn about these customs and these traditions, but be able to experience a bit of it and draw parallels and make connections between these really special moments and these special customs and traditions in their own lives. So this is our concept diagram, and you can see what came out of this work was really the idea of keeping the home at the center of this exhibition. We have our poster and marketing collateral, our first point of contact. We want to make sure everybody is really excited to get in their car, go to the museum, and find out what is going on in this magical exhibit. For our content floor plan, we've got 7 major areas here. Everyone's going to begin the exhibit in area 1, either through the stairs or through the elevator. And then from there, the idea is that you're really wandering through this village and getting a peek into people's homes on these really special, once in a lifetime days in their lives. Now, there are going to be some repeated techniques or modes of engagement throughout the exhibit. I'm going to talk about one of them in each of our sort of big major areas, but this is just for you to see that they are repeated all throughout the exhibit. So our experience is going to begin out on the museum grounds. This is the first thing we see when we arrive. And so we've got these really great motion sensor activated blue orb light structures. And this is based on the folklore of the will-o'-the-wisp that can either lead you into peril or into paradise. And luckily for us, they're going to very gently lead us into the paradise of the exhibit and set that moody, magical tone that we're looking for. So in our welcome area, we have our introduction, our big, beautiful welcome sign. And this is where we learn all about the fairy paths and the danger and the harm that could befall you if you dare to build your house near a fairy path. So we've got our first taste of harm there in the exhibit. And you might notice we've got some acoustic baffling as well going on the ceiling. That's because there is a large portion of the gallery that opens directly up into the other floors of the museum. So we want to kind of cut down on that noise pollution or that sound leakage as much as possible. And it also ends up being a really fun homage to that very signature cloudy gray sky of Ireland. Now we're in our village area. There's no more fairy paths. We are safe to build our homes. And so this is where we're going to learn all about those protective home building customs. For example, this is pictured here is the custom of taking items that you feel are very protective and will keep your family safe, and burying them underneath your home, beneath the floorboards, beneath the foundation, so that they will protect you throughout your time in that home. And what we're seeing here is a motion sensor activated OLED screen built into the mural. And once visitors get close enough up to that mural, it will become transparent, giving you a look into the artifact display case that's built up behind that wall. And here you'll see displayed actual artifacts and objects that people have been using to protect their homes. You'll also have a chance to think about what is protective to you. What does that mean for you in your life and in your experience? And you'll have a chance to draw out an item that you would trust to protect your home and your family. And then you'll see it projected out onto the back wall there amongst our mural of our rolling hills. We're also going to see our first repeated technique or mode of engagement here, and it is storytelling. If you have ever met an Irish person, then you know how important storytelling is to them and how deeply ingrained in the culture it is. And so we want visitors to not just, learn about this, but to experience it. So we're going to have these lively retellings of very traditional Irish folk tales that are related to the content area where they're placed. And they're also going to be aided by this great projection mapping behind the performer, going to interact with them while they're telling the tale and really bring this magic to life in a great new way that's never been seen before. And in the times when these stories are not being told, there's also, some more low key, like drifting in and out motions that we can have with the projection mapping. There's a lot of opportunities there. In our marriage area, this is where we're going to get our first peek into someone's home on a special day in their life. We're going to learn all about the folk customs, the traditions, the beliefs that go along with a marriage and a wedding day, and hopefully find some common threads for visitors in their own lives and in their own cultures. This is where we're going to see our second repeated technique here throughout the exhibit, and this one's very special. These are objects that have been donated from local community members, and they're going to be kept in these opaque smart glass cases. There's a touch interactive nearby. Once that's activated, the glass becomes transparent, the item is revealed, and we will hear through directional microphones a firsthand narrative from the owner of that object, talking about why it is so special for them, what it means to them, and hopefully that will sort of encourage a sense of empathy in our visitors who are listening to these really important stories from our community members. Now we're in our birth area, all about our special customs, special traditions for the day of a birth. We've also got a great water well interactive here. This is based on the tradition of the father of the child continuously pulling water, drawing from the well while the mother labors. If she's in pain, you're in pain. So visitors are going to have the opportunity to go ahead and pull up some water from the well, dump it out, and there's a great light and sound interactive that goes along with that to really, again, make the magic of that tradition very visible. We also have another of our repeated techniques here. These are these artifact display cases that are going to have these ghostly silhouettes projected on the back, gliding in and out at regular intervals. And they're going to interact with these artifacts and these objects as their owners would have on these really important days. So again, we're inspiring empathy for these objects, for these stories, for this community, and giving really important context for these artifacts that makes them really memorable. Now we're in our festival area. There are 4 festivals in Ireland that are very important, and they correspond with the solstices and the equinoxes. So we're going to learn all about those. We've also in the back got a wall of Pepper's Ghost displays where we can see these very ordinary, regular, everyday objects in their ordinary, regular, everyday purposes. And then we'll see them transformed into their magical ritual purposes that they serve on these special days. And this is where we're going to see our last repeated technique here. This is our fireside Shanachie booth, where we can learn all about the Shanachie, who are very important in Ireland. They are the keepers of the oral histories and the legends and the stories. And you're going to have a chance to participate in this tradition by answering a prompt and recording a very short story about your own life. So, something that's happened that's related to the content area from your life. That story is later on going to be sent to another visitor who comes to the museum. You, in turn, are going to receive one of these small cards with a QR code on it. And after your visit, you can scan that QR code and listen to a story from another visitor that was also recorded in that booth. So again, we're encouraging that community connection, that sharing and opening up to each other, which is going to encourage that pro-social behavior. And a moment for our beautiful directional wayfinding. Again, our will-o'-the-wisps leading us through the exhibit. And everyone's favorite, our death area. Now here we're going to pay homage to a really beautiful tradition, and that is the wishing tree. Now, this is when someone in your home is ill or they're not well, they might be nearing the end, and you are desperately wishing for them to be healed. You can go to a wishing tree, which is typically a hawthorn tree that you might find near one of those fairy paths that I mentioned earlier. You're going to write on a colored ribbon or a piece of paper your wish for that person, tie it onto the tree, and hope that your wish will be heard by the fairies and the good folk. And visitors are going to be encouraged to participate in this tradition by writing out their own wishes and adding them to the collective of our museum's wishing tree. And if writing is especially difficult for you, we also have an option to participate in this digitally. Excuse me. And now we are in the other world. Our last area here, it's down on the bottom level, that sub basement. And this is the realm of the fairies and the ghosts, the land of shining silver and golden apples. And this is where we're going to learn all about the folk custom of divination and receiving messages from the other side. So visitors are going to receive a small UV flashlight, and they're going to be encouraged to wander throughout the space and look for these hidden messages in the form of these very traditional Irish symbols. And once they find some of these hidden symbols with their UV light, they can look on the guide that's provided with the flashlight to interpret what these symbols mean and sort of decipher what are the messages here that they're receiving from this other world, from the ghosts and the fairies. Here's a look at our graphic system. The whole idea here was to take something that had a lot of natural elements and expose them in a very mystical and magical way. And I feel that's what we've done. It's walking a really nice line between mystical, magical, and natural. And as far as extending the experience just beyond the visit to the exhibit, we're going to have some great public programming, really use those grounds to their full extent. And we're going to have 4 festival celebrations throughout the course of the year that the exhibit is on display. And it's going to be a time for the community and any other visitors to really just come together, have good conversation, good food, get to know each other, encouraging those connections, that pro-social behavior, that empathy for one another, and really just giving them a time to feel very socially nourished here at the museum. For more post engagement, we also have, as you'll remember, these cards from our Fireside Shanachie booth that you can scan after your visit and hear a story from another visitor. We've also got for purchase in the gift shop these great folk aid kits. These are these small boxes with items that are from local makers and local artisans, and they have everything you need to complete these really good luck and good fortune rituals for these very special days. They also make great super sentimental gifts for weddings or for housewarming parties. They just are a very unique way to show that you care. We're also going to have these rotating seasonal traditions. These are more standalone rituals that you can buy to complete at home. And they're going to rotate out with the seasons and the different festivals. For example, here we have our winter solstice candle, and that's a ritual that's all about bringing back light in the darkest parts of the year. All right, thank you all very much. I'm so excited to share with you, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. If you'd like to get in touch, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much.